I have a crush on my husband. But he doesn't know it. He has a crush on me. But I don't know it. So, when we divorced, we tried every possible way to delay. And we forgot to take something or the car broke down. After a few times of pulling, we finally divorced. After we parted, I turned back quietly. I saw him tearing up the divorce certificate with tears on his face. I rubbed my eyes, hid behind the telephone pole, and carefully poked my head out to take a look again. That's right. The mature handsome guy standing on the side of the road. 187 meters tall, with 8 abdominal muscles, wearing a suit and leather shoes, crying and tearing up the divorce certificate, was my ex-husband Kim Shin-yu. That serious ex-husband, who said less than 100 words to me in 2 years of marriage. He actually cried. And he cried beautifully. Why did he cry? It can't be because of divorce from me. Didn't he have Bai Guang? And he only married me for marriage and business cooperation? I was confused for a moment. And then I saw his assistant driving the Maybach that he said was beyond repair 2 hours ago to pick him up. We came by subway. Not only did we take the subway, but we also took the wrong one at the beginning, and the 1-hour journey was stretched to more than 2 hours. We hadn't left early. We might have had a reason to have lunch and delay a little longer. But the more than 2 hours on the subway were the closest we were to each other, except for the wedding day. Sitting side by side, our thighs would occasionally touch each other and then quickly separate. It was like a young boy and girl taking the bus together to listen to a song. Unfortunately, there was no young and ambiguous feeling between him and me. Only the coldness and formality of the exchange of interests. He was a rising business upstart, and I was a declining old family. Thinking of this, my mood fell again, and I turned around and walked away quickly. When I saw his news again, I guess he announced his marriage to Bai Guang. Kim Shin-yu tore up the marriage certificate on the spot and squatted down miserably to pick up the fragments. The assistant sighed. Why don't you confess directly? She has a crush on someone. Kim Shin-yu said, his eyes red. The assistant couldn't bear it. But I haven't found out what your wife has. Although inferiority complex is a man's best ally, you are too inferior. It can't be wrong. She told her best IE, and she must value that man very much. And she didn't spread the word about who she has hidden in her heart, so as not to cause him trouble and pressure. Kim Shin-yu felt that his heart was broken along with the divorce certificate. The man was like an abandoned little poor thing. Tears fell, and he couldn't cover his crying. She loves him so much, I can't bear to force her. Besides, they're in a marriage, and the interests are entangled. She doesn't have a good impression of me. The assistant was so upset by what he said that he quickly took out a briefcase to put the fragments of the divorce certificate for Kim Shin-yu. The man sat in the back seat, holding the briefcase and couldn't stop crying. If you don't know, you would think he was holding his wife's portrait. After returning home, Kim Shin-yu looked at the empty villa, stood there for a while with grievance and sadness, and thought of something, and hurriedly searched the villa. Finally, he found a fellow kneeling in the gap of the bedroom cloakroom. Then he hesitated and struggled for half an hour and sent a WeChat message to his wife. You left something at home. Do you have time to pick it up tomorrow? When I saw the message, I was nestling in my best IE's arms, wiping tears for my dead love. What? I really like him. I've been secretly in love with him for several years. Why can every rich man be inseparable from Bai Guang? I cried at the top of my voice. My best friend blocked my mouth with paper. You cry like your husband has lost his wife. If you have a crush on someone, just confess your love. You are married, a proper couple. I sobbed and shook my head. Our conditions are too ridiculous. White moonlight substitute, taking advantage of the situation. Marriage, vicious female supporting role. Reunion, chasing wife to the crematorium. You can write a lot of novels. My best friend rolled her eyes. But you have lived with him for 2 years. Didn't you find any trace of white moonlight? So he's so affectionate and protects her so well, not giving other women the opportunity to hurt white moonlight. I felt sad when I thought about it, and I started crying again. He doesn't look for a replacement. His private life is simple and clean, and he guards the girl he loves wholeheartedly. How can such a good man not be mine? My best friend was annoyed by my crying, so she snatched my phone to send a message and saw Kinshinyu's message. Hey, he's calling you back. I looked at it with tears in my eyes, my heart breaking into petals. He's not calling me back, he's telling me that Bai Yu Guang is coming back. What does that mean? My best friend didn't understand. I packed my luggage very carefully, leaving no corner untouched, and he was able to find an earring that I had lost a long time ago. What does that mean? I asked. The stupidity in my best friend's eyes was about to overflow. I gritted my teeth fiercely. It means Bai Yu Guang is going to move in. He is checking if there are any of my things, in case Bai Yu Guang sees it and feels sad. My best friend suddenly realized. That makes sense. Then are you still going to get it? Just let him throw it away. I hesitated and said nothing. My best friend narrowed her eyes. You still want to go, right? What a coward. You want to go but you don't dare to confess. I turned around and replied to her WeChat with a humph, ignoring her. After thinking for a while, I replied, I have time. When is it convenient? It's better to have lunch or dinner soon. Maybe we can have another meal. Woohoo. Enough. Taoji. Don't be so humble. Don't eat. Just look at me and say a few words. Take the opportunity to touch the palm of your hand when you take the earring. Kinshinyu held the earring and waited restlessly since he sent the WeChat message. One moment he suspected that his phone was broken and used a backup phone. One moment he suspected that he was blocked and hesitated whether to send another message to see if he should. One moment he suspected that the network was not good and went to a nearby coffee shop. Finally, when Kinshinyu was about to go crazy waiting, the reply popped up on the interface. The man stood up and ran home in the curious eyes of the people around him. He took a breath. His cheeks slowly rose a little warm, and raised his mobile phone to reply solemnly. Tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, or around 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Is it okay? In this way, he has an excuse to keep her for dinner. Kinshinyu's heart was sour. Enough, he said to himself. If he used such a despicable excuse again, he would be discovered. Don't make it difficult for her. It's enough to say this last time. The man kept persuading himself to let go and finally persuaded himself to go to the supermarket to buy vegetables. If you want to leave her life, why can't you be more gorgeous? At 610 the next night, I appeared outside the villa. In fact, I was wandering around the area 2 hours ago, like a thief scouting the area. When the time came, I pretended to be calm and went in, with the weird eyes of the security guard. Kinshinyu was waiting for me in the garden. When he saw me coming, he put down the kettle and said, Please go in first and wait for me for a while. I stared at him with fascination. It was a very powerful and profound look. Help! He was wearing a black shirt and a white lace apron. The shirt was slightly open, revealing a straight collarbone and a small piece of strong chest. The apron was a sexy style, with a slightly low neckline. The edges tied on his full chest muscles, and the hem just past the thighs. Who taught him to wear it like this? It's like a May costume. What's more amazing is that there is a small mole on the looming chest muscle, so sexy. I retracted my wolf-like eyes, feeling sad. I haven't seen this in 2 years of marriage. As soon as I got divorced, Bai Yu Guang started to lose his male ethics as soon as he returned to China. Don't be too angry, I said. Although I'm divorced, my moral bottom line is very flexible. I can get the body if I can't get the heart. I walked quickly to the living room, almost slipped on the wet gravel road, and rushed in embarrassment. After entering, I keenly noticed that the furnishings in the house were a little different. Roses everywhere, replaced carpets, new fragrances. My nose was sore and I felt like crying. This is no longer my home. I didn't expect Ken Xingyu to move so quickly. In just one day he cleared out my few familiar memories. After a while, the man came in and smiled slightly. What to drink? If you have enough time, do you want to stay for dinner? Sorry, I have to change my clothes first. Ken Xingyu got up early in the morning to prepare for tonight's meeting. I want to have a brand new environment. As for dressing, I learned it from watching the Edgeman video and commentary for more than an hour last night. He started pacing back and forth in the garden from 530, while paying attention to whether his wife came and concave towards the position of the entrance door. The consequence of absentmindedly watering the flowers was that the gravel road was slippery, and my wife almost slipped. Ken Xingyu looked down at himself and pursed his lips in disappointment. It really didn't work. My wife's eyes were fierce and strange just now. Did she think he was too explicit? Or was she not interested in him at all and didn't want to look at him at all? Without feeling, even male beauty couldn't attract her attention. Fortunately, it didn't happen in marriage, otherwise I'm afraid it wouldn't last even 2 years. Ken Xingyu quenched the watering can sadly, took a few deep breaths to adjust his mood. Then he fell on the gravel road. Ken Xingyu wanted to lie on the ground and cry loudly at that time. But my wife was still in the living room. What if she was seen? The man who had been strong all his life quickly got up, and his expression after entering the door was even more perfect than before. His brain couldn't think anymore, and he subconsciously followed the process sequence provided by the assistant. Asked my wife what to drink. Invite her to dinner. There was an emergency, so he had to change his clothes. Before he had time to think, Ken Xingyu strode upstairs to change his clothes. I stood in the living room, feeling even worse. His hot and unethical clothes. Could I not even take a look at them? Bai Guang was too chaste. He had to change and dress idly after being seen by his ex-wife. I gritted my teeth in grief and anger, and not only poured a glass of water, but also sat down to prepare for dinner. She invited who asked him to be polite. Let's see. After a while, Ken Xingyu came downstairs, and sure enough he was dressed tightly. He handed me a box, which contained the earrings that had been lost long ago. I couldn't help asking him where he found them. It turned out to be in the gap of the cloakroom. That's right, the bedroom, cloakroom and bathroom are the places that need to clean up the traces of the ex-wife the most. At the dinner table, the two of us sat face to face, and the atmosphere was a bit awkward. In fact, we are not very familiar with each other. Ken Xingyu had just returned to China and we had a business marriage. It was very hasty, he was very busy with work, and I was not at home full-time. Is your work going well recently? I couldn't bear not to say a word, so I asked him softly. The man looked at me with a little surprise, nodded, and then asked back in a voice softer than mine. How about you? I smiled. It's also going well. This is the truth. A month ago, I took a slow life reality show as a comeback signal. The guests have a good aura. They are sincere and interesting, and it is a travel program. They also arranged a young brother who is just 20 years old for me as a couple. When I accepted the invitation, I thought I was going to get divorced soon, so I agreed to the CP. But Ken Xingyu probably hasn't seen it either. He doesn't know anything about the entertainment industry. Ken Xingyu couldn't swallow a bite of food. The last second, his heart was still beating faster because his wife took the initiative to care about his recent situation. The next second it died. He had seen his wife's show. He watched the pilot in the first episode more than 10 times. When he thought that the smile on his wife's face was because she was recording the show with that substitute lover, Kim Shin-yu wanted to use a fork to fork the boy out of the program group. Kim Shin-yu knew that his wife was hyping up the couple in the show. Not only did he know, he also clicked on all the videos and Weibo pictures pushed to his homepage. But the big data kept pushing. Maybe it was because he was still watching things related to his wife. Fans thought the couple was a show effect. Only he knew that it was a substitute chosen by his wife herself. The substitute of her dead white moonlight. That's why his wife had no interest in him. He had nothing to do with her white moonlight. She liked a young, cute and clingy brother who was full of energy and had fluffy hair like a Samwood. And he was old. Even in the comment section of the video of the marginal boy who followed him, the girls called the anchor uncle. Kim Shin-yu felt so sour. He didn't want to continue this topic, so he opened his phone to look at the dating guide his assistant had sent him. With his mind filled with bitterness, jealousy and grievance, he tried to find a new topic. I looked at the actions of the man opposite me and counted silently in my heart. This was the 9th time he had checked his phone tonight. He checked it frequently. Was he chatting with Bayu Guang? That's why he was so absent tonight. I couldn't eat anymore, my chest was blocked. It was really my own fault, so why not leave? I slowed down my chewing speed, and as I was thinking of excuses and reasons, Kim Shin-yu raised his hand to wipe his mouth, and then asked me with a gentle and relaxed expression if I liked the meal. I felt that I heard his hidden meaning. You can leave. Isn't this kind of words usually said by the host to the guest when the meal is almost finished? Seeing that his expression was not as dull and stiff as before, he probably thought that he could call or video chat with Bayu Guang after I left. Thinking of this, how could I sit still? I felt even more depressed and frustrated. I put down my chopsticks and smiled. It's delicious. Thank you for helping me find the earrings. It's getting late. I have to go. I have to record a show in 2 days. I have to adjust my state. I stood up and deliberately avoided his expression. I was afraid that I couldn't hide my emotions, so I didn't see his panic at that moment. I felt that I would cry if I stayed any longer, so I grabbed the bag strap and hurried out. It's dark. I'll take you, Kim Shin-yu said behind me. No, I'll take a taxi later. I blinked desperately. Kim Shin-yu still took me outside. He is always like this, polite but not intimate enough. He has never treated me as a wife and lover, not even as a roommate living under the same roof. Occasionally, if he bothers me once, such as going home for dinner, he will always prepare a lot of gifts to thank me the next day. The more he does this, the more he tries to distance himself from our relationship. It means he doesn't want to owe me anything, so I can only hide my crush even more deeply. We are all respectable adults, so don't spread rumors that will make the rich family laugh. I don't want to see contempt and apology in Shin-yu's expression. When I passed by the trash can, I saw a lot of rose branches and leaves in it. It turned out that he personally arranged the flowers in his home. Otherwise, the people in the flower shop would definitely clean them up. I didn't know he could be so careful and prudent. With this amount, I'm afraid all the roses in the city are here today. Fresh cut flowers need to be taken care of to look good, so they're taken care of a few days in advance. I was just able to have this candlelight dinner today because of Bayu Guang's help. I was so pale from eating. My chest was full of sour jealousy. I secretly thought that Bayu Guang's aesthetics were not that good, and the vase of flowers on the dining table was so ugly. What kind of aesthetics are these country girls? Is this what the white moonlight of returning home is like? But after thinking about it, I feel so pitiful and sad. I am so ugly like this, not beautiful at all. I don't like it. Just I feel secret Love. I can be sad behind others, but I can't be embarrassed in front of others. The street lights stretched our shadows side by side, and stretched them again. It seems that in this distorted world, some parts of his body and mine can overlap and merge together. From the head that misses each other to the heart that speeds up because of each other, they can all be merged together. I stare at the ground in a trance, thinking about the time when Ken Shinyu and I just got married. At that time, I couldn't hide my feelings and I deliberately walked a little behind to stick to his shadow. He found out and walked slower and waited for me to walk side by side. He is still side by side with me, but there is a half-person space in the middle. The shadows on the ground can never touch each other again, just like the future of Ken Shinyu and me. The vision gradually blurred. Ken Shinyu, even my shadow must keep a distance. He didn't even want to step on my shadow. I didn't care what the man next to me looked like. I rushed into the taxi, didn't want to say goodbye, and ran to my best friend's club and cried. The wine on the table hugged her and sobbed. Don't stop me. Today I want to bury my love in the wine. That's it. After crying, getting drunk, I want to start new life. It's so sad today. I didn't even touch her hand. I pulled my best friend and said vaguely, watch me. I'm afraid that I will get drunk and force Ken Shinyu to the bed and make love. He is polite and will definitely come to pick me up. Then I will become an entangled mistress. I can't see my best friend's expression, but she should have agreed. Shinyu stood outside for a long time. The security guard couldn't stand it anymore, so he came over and asked him if he was okay. This couple is so interesting. One afternoon as a thief, one night as a standing posture. The man came back to his senses, tears flashed in his red eyes, and he turned around and left without waiting for the security guard to be surprised. He cried while running home, and his heart was so bitter that he was about to go crazy. The meal was over in less than 20 minutes. It was over. It was over between him and Taoji. She was in such a hurry to leave, because she must be impatient. He was old-fashioned, boring, dull, and old. How could he compare with his fresh and delicious young brother? He was not qualified to be a substitute lover. After returning home, Ken Shinyu sat blankly at the dining table with tears on his face. He thought of something and hurried to the kitchen. He opened the oven, and the carefully prepared dessert collapsed because of the long time at high temperature. The cherry sauce overflowed and it was a mess. Just like him. Sing. It was so muddy that he couldn't find a place to stand or move forward. Ken Shinyu took out the cake silently, undid it bite by bite. When his eyes fell on the vase, his heart ached again. This was also carefully prepared, but she only got one look at it and never looked at it again. When he saw her, his brain seemed to be useless, not working at all. He could only stare at her stupidly, stupid and annoying. He had grown older, but he had not made any progress in treating her, just like in childhood. He sent a red envelope to his assistant to thank the useless strategy, and then went to the wine cabinet to get some wine. He would not feel heartache when he was drunk, because being drunk would make your whole body hurt. In his drunken state, Shinyu seemed to see his wife's shadow again, crying and shouting, Jin, can you take me to play with you? They all bullied me and called me a little fat boy. When he sent his wife away tonight, he walked beside her and didn't even have the courage to look at her. He could only stare at the shadows of the two on the ground. In the past, he occasionally walked with her, and when he saw the overlapping shadows, he would be secretly happy. It was as if he was hugging her. But tonight, he looked at her anxious to leave, and he suddenly felt timid, afraid of being hurt by her expression, afraid of reading boredom and rejection from her face. So he hid. I'm afraid we won't see each other again in the future, and when we meet again, things will be different. Thinking of this, he couldn't bear to step on her shadow or destroy it. Kim Shin-yu sighed and buried his face in the blanket. He felt that he was such a hypocritical fool. And the man picked it up casually, saying in a deep tone, "Who is it?" "I'm Tao-ji's best friend. Tao-ji drank too much at my place. Are you coming to pick her up?" The background sound was mixed with his wife's soft words. Kim Shin-yu took the seconds to understand what this meant. He got up in a hurry, and his head was dizzy. "My wife is drunk. I have to pick her up." "Yes, I have to pick her up." The man staggered to the door, then stopped, looking at the night outside with a little absent-mindedness. "Picked it up, and then what?" "Nothing to happen between them. At this time, her best friend should take care of her and go home, or call the little substitute over. It's not appropriate to call him. Kim Shin-yu is of course willing to pick her up, but the gentle care tonight will become her embarrassment tomorrow. She doesn't like this kind of messy relationship. Otherwise she wouldn't have found a substitute and simply filed for divorce. If he went to pick her up, wouldn't he be her ex-husband who kept pestering her? Kim Shin-yu didn't want the man's Adam's apple rolled a few times, and his voice was hoarse. "Sorry, it's not convenient for me to go over now." There was silence for a few seconds. "It's okay. Sorry to bother you." Kim Shin-yu curled up in a very old soft blanket, physically and mentally uncomfortable and about to collapse, and was stunned until dawn. "I don't know how much I drank last night. Anyway, I woke up and found myself lying in the hospital for infusion. Sorry to bother you." I looked at my best friend who was napping by the bed apologetically. She rubbed her neck. "It's a small matter. You can leave after the infusion. Go back to sleep and take a shower. I will treat you to a big meal and find you 10 male models." I smiled bitterly and shook my head. "No, I don't have the heart." My best friend hesitated and stretched out her voice. Last night, I called Kim Shin-yu. I was startled and sat up straight feeling dizzy. "Why did you call him?" "I just wanted to match you two, but he said it was inconvenient for him." My best friend looked regretful. Obviously she felt that she had done something bad with good intentions. I sat there in a daze, and the needle on the back of my hand was accidentally pulled out with the blood line. "He's inconvenient in the middle of the night. You can also try a new friend." My best friend whispered to me. I responded numbly. "No one will stay in the past forever. It's time to look forward." A month later I was invited to a dinner party and Kim Shin-yu was there. I was drunk again. Consequences. Go away, go find her out, don't bother me." In the hotel room, I cried and pushed Kim Shin-yu in front of me. "Tonight is a business party, and I officially come back to show my face." Meeting Kim Shin-yu was expected. He and I had a flash marriage and a secret marriage. He was the one who proposed the secret marriage. He probably didn't want his wife, Moonlight, abroad to be sad after knowing it. My career was full of twists and turns at the time, and I didn't want to be bothered by the news of the marriage between the rich and powerful, so I agreed. Only the families of both sides and a very few relatives and friends knew that we were married. So tonight, Kim Shin-yu and I even had to be introduced by others to meet and shake hands. "Boss Kim, let me introduce you. This is the little princess of the Tao family, Tao-ji." "Xiaochen, this Xiaochen. Your boss Ken, you should have heard of him at home." So we shook hands with the introduction of outsiders and said nice to meet each other. They didn't know that we had been married and divorced. It's a bit ironic, but this is reality. We each have our own choices and there can't be a purely emotional relationship between him and me. I thought I could face Kim Shin-yu again after a month without losing my composure. But his words broke my defense. He said, "If you get married, can you send me a wedding invitation?" Obviously, our marriage has completely become a thing of the past for him, and we are business partners who continue to discuss cooperation and interests. But for me, he is still my unforgettable crush. To be honest, at this moment I really felt that Qin Xinyu was so heartless. A businessman who puts profit above all else. And his image in my heart was inexplicably a little smaller. I held back the buzzing in my head, held the wine glass tightly, and smiled and replied, "Of course, Mr. Ken is the same." Then, he and I walked away. I think my bat must be handsome and brave. Afterwards, when I asked Qin Xinyu, he said that he looked like a poor kitten looking for a milk bowl. He looked straight at me at the time, and his mind was full of his wife being so cute. Oh, she will be someone else's wife in the future. I drank one cup after another, and finally Qin Xinyu, who had been watching silently, asked the waiter to take me upstairs to rest. In order not to be discovered, he followed quietly after a while with an excuse. I was already drunk, looking at him with resentment and grievance, and grabbed his collar uncontrollably. "You know, I hate your attitude the most. Kenshin, you didn't know how many times his heart was broken tonight. Maybe it was already full." On such an occasion, he wanted to walk beside his wife, openly, hand in hand, and be introduced as her husband. But just this morning, he saw a marketing account breaking the news that the TV queen, returned and Taoji was about to get married. The picture was a scene in the variety show where she and her substitute lover, CP brother, went to the wedding dress shop to do a test together. Although she didn't wear a wedding dress, the boy knelt down and proposed on the spot. The ratings of that episode reached a peak, and CP fans came to the table to eat in groups during the new year, occupying several hot searches. Qin Xinyu couldn't help but see it. He has been brooding over this until now, and after being provoked by the marketing account's revelations, he completely collapsed. Good things are coming. This picture again. If it's not an official announcement, what else could it be? Qin Xinyu was in a trance the whole time and only came back to his senses when his wife was introduced to him. He shook hands and said hello with a sad face. "My wife is so beautiful today, twinkling like the most beautiful little star." The man's eyes unconsciously stuck to her, like a robot that was given an order. He stared straight at his wife wherever she went. After meeting his wife's eyes again, Qin Xinyu felt that he couldn't do this anymore. "My wife came here today to socialize, and I don't know how uncomfortable she must be to be stared at like this. My wife is gentle and generous and doesn't care, so he can't be ignorant." So Qin Xinyu took the initiative to walk over and found an excuse to cover up his staring behavior just now, feeling guilty and sad. "If you get married, can you send me a wedding invitation?" He wanted to bite his tongue to commit suicide after he said that. But ask yourself, if she gets married, will he really not pay attention to her? In the few seconds when neither of them spoke, Qin Xinyu felt that he was really ridiculous. Because of him, he wanted to go. Not only did he want to go, he also fantasized about robbing the bride. While Qin Xinyu was expecting his wife to say that she had no such plan recently, he was thinking about whether to prepare a custom dress now. Of course, President Qintu. The woman's soft smile sounded in his ears. Qin Xinyu's heart twitched for a moment, and there was a buzzing in his ears. He turned around to get the wine in a disguised way, and when he turned around again, his wife had left. I don't know what I was scolding. Anyway, I was just making trouble with alcohol and venting all my grievances and pain. I hate the way you are always calm, polite, courteous, and distant. I am your wife, why can't I be closer to you? It's so annoying. Why should I like you? I don't want to like you anymore. Go away and find her. Don't show up in front of me. I cried and pushed Qin Xinyu and fell into his arms again. I couldn't see his face in the blurry vision, and I couldn't hear his words in the scattered thinking. I could only see his slightly red, thin lips opening and closing. What was he saying? It must be something I didn't want to hear. I didn't want to hear it, so I kissed him fiercely. I bit his lips and bullied him hard. I used all my brute force to knock him to the ground, and rode on his waist and kissed him. Qin Xinyu seemed to be frightened by me and didn't move. I was more unscrupulous after succeeding, completely exposing my nature and tearing our clothes. When he was about to take off all the clothes, he struggled gently and said no in my ear. I didn't care whether he wanted it or not. I was upset and hot, so I blocked his mouth again. Shh, don't talk. From now on, you can only breathe, not talk. Touched his face. There were water stains. Crying again? So cute, so innocent. I was provoked to the point of animal ity. Tonight, right here, I must eat him. In the wedding night, he owed me 1 time. Oh no, 7 times a night. Even if it's 24 months. There must be 10 nights a month. Today, my mind is hazy, but the pleasure is unusually clear. And my body is messy like a fallen leaf being pounded into the soft by a naughty child with a thick branch. At noon the next day, I woke up after having fun. This man won't eat everything and run away, right? I can't make up for it. Alright, and I owe you for him to pay me back in installments later. A mass. In the soft and moist soil, Qin disappear. Shouldn't the hero unusually do this kind of plot? An interest. Have I read too few novels? Just when I was at a loss, the door of the room opened and Qin came back with something. When he looked into my eyes, his cheeks flushed slightly, his eyes dodged and turned his face away, and he put down the shopping bag. Clothes and shoes, a very delicate little cake, and a cup of coffee I like. I like coffee with cake. Shall I ask the restaurant to prepare lunch? Or do you want to rest for a while? He walked closer, sat at the end of the bed and asked me softly. My head was throbbing, and I raised my hand to pinch my temple. After a while, I responded hoarsely, wait a minute. He nodded obediently and went to pour me a glass of warm water. Do you want to take some medicine? A completely different attitude from before last night. I was not drunk and unconscious last night. I basically remembered what happened, so I was even more surprised by Qin Xinyu's current behavior. Are men really animals with lower bodies? When the person he loves has already returned to China, he can be so gentle and considerate, just by having sex, with a drunk and emotional woman. It's not bad, but I thought Qin Xinyu would tell me that last night was just an accident and it won't happen again. However, this can't offset the mistakes we made. I really want to slap myself now. Physical cheating is cheating, even once is cheating. How can I take a deep breath, hold the water cup, and change my expression? I opened my eyes and stared at him in disbelief, thinking that he was in my heart. Is this all you want to say to me? I asked. The blush on the man's face became more intense, and there were tears in his eyes. He pursed his lips. I was inexplicably angry and regretful, and his tone became sharp. Are you worthy of that girl? I was so flustered that my whole body was numb and I didn't know how to solve it. His image was much shorter. His lower lip seemed to be determined. I can do it. While thinking, Qin Xinyu suddenly came close and whispered softly. You look so bad. I'm sorry last night it was my first time. Are you uncomfortable? I don't understand what he means. Is he showing off his male ability? Or wanting to do it again? He was stunned by my roar and then he became more determined. I can stay with you. It doesn't matter if you get married. I don't care. I raised my hand and slapped him. Then I slapped myself. She wants to be a scumbag. And I can't be a slut. Qin Xinyu was beaten to tears by me. I was angry, but I didn't use so much strength. How much strength can my little slap exert? Qin Xinyu covered his face, which was in pain on both sides, and couldn't hold back his tears. He mustered up the courage to retort, What about you? Didn't you also find a substitute? He doesn't love me, nor is he obedient like me, so why can't he choose me? Qin Xinyu was angry and aggrieved. He was misunderstood and forced last night, and his kidneys were almost deficient in the end, and his wife wanted to do it again. He subconsciously wanted to escape when he got up in the morning. He went to the next room and booked a room. Kinshinyu recalled while taking a shower. Well, Pinran was sitting and pushing last night. But it was also because of her that he had been scratched and bitten by her. And his body was covered with small scars. And now his face couldn't be saved. The man was so excited that he couldn't speak. And he sat at the end of the bed with his lips tightly pursed like a statue. The room became quiet. Kinshinyu's words echoed in my ears like a lingering sound. Substitute. Love me. Oh, the end. Wait, what is this? I suddenly shuddered. We were arguing about the same thing just now. Stop crying, let's calm down and talk it over. My head was getting more and more painful. I lay on the bed, glanced at him, and muttered, I didn't know before you are such a crybaby. No. He choked and said stubbornly. You knew it before. What? I looked over in confusion, and he turned his back to me and refused to say anything. I lay there for a while, sighing tiredly. How are you going to tell her, hide it or be honest? Huh? He was also confused. What do we have to tell your best idea about? I sank my face. It's time now, it's pointless for you to pretend. Continue, Mr. Ten. I know you have a foreign moonlight. Wait, what do I have? The surprise and confusion on the man's face at this moment did not seem fake. For on Moonlight, I was a little unsure about him. You? Don't you? Of course I don't. Kinshinyu jumped up. How could I have a four on Moonlight? Who told you? Scratched my head. I asked around. My best and I asked around for information, and we spent money. Kinshinyu shook his head vigorously. No. Absolutely not. I have always lied. He suddenly stopped, looking at me with his sparkling eyes. My breathing was slightly choked, and I felt a little hot and nervous for no reason. Look, what are you looking at me for? The man seemed to have realized something, crawled over from the end of the bed, and leaned on the bed to get close to me. It's my turn to ask questions. I dodged backwards. What do you want to ask? At the same time, my eyes unconsciously glanced into his open collar. This look was incredible, and my face immediately burned. I was so wild last night. You have a dead white moonlight, and you have always been secretly in love with him, right? Kinshinyu asked in a low voice, word by word. Why? You before you got married, you and your best I were playing in the playground and said, although you have always been secretly in love with him, there's no possibility of being with him forever. Kinshinyu's eyes became brighter and brighter. His voice became louder and louder, and his speed became faster and faster. I was about to retort, but suddenly thought of what I said that day and stuttered. Kinshinyu was full of expectations. But when he saw me hesitating, his expression changed again. And he was about to cry, his eyes were red. He looked like that kind of expression pack, a dog drenched by heavy rain, with all the hair on the top of his head drooping down, strand by strand. Changed my posture and lay down and began to question him. How do you know that I said this to my best friend and you followed me? I did say that, but I was talking about Kinshinyu. But he misunderstood that I was with a dead person. Of course it's impossible to be dead. No, he explained anxiously. I just saw you on the road and then followed you. Would it be better to change the word? He just followed subconsciously. When I reacted, I was hiding behind the ice cream truck and eavesdropping, in order to prevent the salesperson from looking at him with strange eyes. He also paid for all the ice cream. As a result, my heart was colder than ice cream. I raised my eyebrows. So you think I have a dead white moonlight, so you? I looked at him, waiting for him to add the rest of the words. He probably also found out that we had misunderstood each other, and slowly and carefully lay in my arms. He looked up and saw that I didn't object and rubbed up again. adding softly, I thought there was no possibility for the two of us. The doll that gave me ice cream at the amusement park that day was you. I remembered another detail. He nodded with a red face, a little disappointed. You didn't want it. Because I ate a lot and I have a stomachache, but you can buy it for me later. My nerves completely relaxed and I breathed a sigh of relief. It was a close call. I almost lost my morals. We misunderstood each other, right? We both don't have a white moonlight, right? Kinshinyu looked at me infatuatedly and asked anxiously. I lay down with my eyes closed and hummed. But there is still one sentence missing. What do you think? Sorry, I am so stuffy. I still have to play dumb until now. The surroundings became quiet. After a while, a very light kiss fell on my face. In fact, we both like each other, right? After leaving the hotel, neither of us spoke. Inexplicable ambiguity and embarrassment spread between the two of us. High school students who have a good impression of each other usually can't help laughing, even when they look at each other secretly. Their ears turn red, and their mood is excited. Kinshinyu and I are both blank slates in terms of feelings, no more mature than high school students. Maybe even more naive. Kinshinyu begged me to go home, and I agreed. When I entered the villa, I couldn't help laughing. Actually, I wandered around outside the villa for a few hours before I went in to get the earrings. If the security guard didn't know me, he would have thought I was a thief. Kinshinyu looked down at me in surprise. Me too? After sending you away that day, I stood here stupidly for a long time. The security guard asked me if I was okay. He must think we broke up. No. So, Kinshinyu insisted on holding my hand and going to the security office to say hello. I rolled my eyes. The more mature, the more childish. We both realized how deep our misunderstanding of each other was. What? Did you find that earring after searching through all the boxes? Do you think I cleaned up the house for Bayuguang's return? No, I just want to make a grand exit. The roses are all for you. I said that the vase was ugly and tasteless. It turns out it's your taste. Kinshinyu groaned and pulled me, unwillingly asking ugly, very ugly. I looked at him, raised my head and kissed him. Yeah, very ugly. He was depressed for a few minutes, and when he entered the garden, he hummed and said about the marginal outfit that day. Don't you like it? You just looked at me fiercely. Please, how could I not like it? I thought you wore it for Bayuguang to see. After all, you have never worn it like this before and you don't even wear a bathrobe when you take a bath at home. I hurriedly corrected. If you'd like to see, show more. Kinshinyu was so annoyed that he was scratching his head and said, I'm afraid you think I'm dissolute and disrespectful to you. After all, this is a business marriage without an emotional foundation. How could I not want to show it to you? I lost weight and exercised to be worthy of you. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how many opportunities and time I had wasted. I really wanted to beat myself to death for not having a mouth and being timid. When I mentioned this, I tilted my head. Have I seen you before? Kinshinyu hugged me and sat on the sofa and whispered in my ear, Jin Jin. They called me a little fat boy and bullied me. Will you protect me? I gasped in surprise and my childhood memories gradually came back. Are you that kid near Grandma's house? Kinshinyu is nothing like he was when he was a child. When he was a child, he was no different from other ordinary children. He was a little weak, and he became very fat because of taking medicine. His fat appearance and soft personality made him always bullied. He is not as mature, sexy, distant and cold as he is now, except for crying. This has not changed. When he was young, Kinshinyu loved crying, liked to act like a spoiled child. His eyes were bright, and his voice was sweet when he called me Jin Jin. He was still a little tea, and he always liked to whisper when he gave me snacks. Jin Jin, do you like other people's snacks more? Jin Jin, I will be your little brother, help you with homework, and give you delicious food. Can you take me to play with you? Jinjin, they don't like me. You'd better not stand up for me. I'm afraid you will be beaten by them. When I was a child, I was the leader of the children. Every time he said something, I would pat my chest proudly and promise to protect him, love him, and play with him forever. So Kenshin Yu hugged me with his crescent eyes and smile. Jinjin is the best. Later, my grandmother passed away and I left. After many years, I have forgotten the name of that short-term playmate. But how did Kenshin Yu become his current personality? I don't want to have any more misunderstandings, so I chose to ask him. The man leaned against my arms, his voice as light as clouds, because I have low self-esteem. After he left, my parents soon took me abroad. They disliked me for being fat, for being in poor health, for not being able to speak English, and for not being worthy of being their son. Kenshin Yu was once so stressed that he would retch cramp and have difficulty breathing when he saw outsiders. He wanted Jinjin to protect him, but Jinjin was half a world away from him. In order to go back, Kenshin Yu forced himself to become what he is today. Though when facing her, the low self-esteem that he had never completely gotten rid of followed him like a shadow. I hugged him distressed. You were great. I like you even when you were a child, let alone now. You are handsome, rich, caring, and hard as a diamond. Kenshin Yu's ears turned red again. I thought he was going to be shy, but he fell into my arms and pestered me, and asked me to say a few more words. Describe in detail how you are hard. His eyes were bright, reflecting the beautiful me. Seemed to have returned to his childhood. And he acted like a spoiled child. Jinjin wife, I love you. I coughed. I know. So what do you mean by me finding a substitute? Kenshin Yu immediately kissed me jealously and whispered between his lips. It's the brother you chose. The one who recorded the show with you and proposed to you on his knees. I was so dizzy from his kiss that I was panting. Wait, I chose it. When? Before the show, you looked at his information on the tablet. It wasn't just Shin. There were several other boys. Kenshin Yu remembered it clearly. I thought he was the stand-in you chose. I was so desperate at the time. I didn't expect your white moonlight to be that type. Speaking of this, Kenshin Yu suddenly became proud and snorted with his lips curled up. Actually, it's not wrong. I was like this when I was a child, except that I was a little fat. Jinjin really has good taste. I laughed out loud. That was when I was looking at the guest information. I wanted to know in advance, so I looked at the other people in this boy group. What's the point of choosing a stand-in? Kenshin Yu was so excited it doesn't matter. Stand-in can... I don't care, really don't care. Took the phone with a smile. Then I called my brother to make an appointment for dinner. He quickly rushed over to grab the phone and stuffed it into the gap of the sofa, and skillfully made a round expression. I laughed and fell on the sofa, and he rubbed against me, as if returning to the time when we were playing unjoking when we were young. Then have a wedding. A grandin. Kenshin Yu asked close to my ear. Then why did you get married in secret? I turned over and faced him. Every expression of the man fell into my eyes. He sighed. I don't think you will like the form of commercial marriage. And there was a big controversy about you winning the Best Actress award at that time. I thought you had a white moonlight, so I thought it would be better for you to get married in secret. I was so moved that I almost cried. These are indeed my thoughts. First time I knew you was when I was studying abroad. I sniffed. My bag was snatched away as soon as I landed, and you helped me get it back. Kenshin Yu looked at me lovingly and nodded. I admit that after the heart Kenshin and I only met occasionally, a few times. It's really not a coincidence. However, in this circle, you will definitely know some of each other's close friends. I actually came into contact with him, so I sniffed and told him my secret love. Because of his appearance, you also sent me to school. You recognized me at that time. It was an unplanned encounter. Familiar, although I paid special attention to his dynamics before marriage, the relationship quickly intensified. It was after marriage. Some of his personalities fell in love with me. When you approach someone with a liking attitude, falling in love is actually just a moment. I can also be sure that I will love him more and more. From a relationship that can be broken up to a deep love that cannot be broken up. You don't know how happy I was when I learned that I was going to marry you. Coming back to my senses from the memory, I confessed embarrassedly. He looked at me with tenderness, suddenly got up and ran upstairs, and brought down a somewhat old blanket. I recognized that it was my grandmother's handwriting, sewn for me and my friends. Qin Xingyu held the blanket like a veil. He gently lifted it up and asked me, Jin Jin, can I marry you? Taoji will never know that the marriage was Qin Xingyu's initiative. Qin Xingyu gave up his inheritance rights in the Qin family, gave up the shares he had already obtained, gave up all the operations abroad, and gave up everything just to gain freedom of marriage. Then he started again, returned to China as a new business upstart, and humbly proposed a marriage to the lover he thought about day and night. Qin Xingyu once felt that his emotional journey was like a bad cherry cake. But later he realized that his approach was wrong. His materials and equipment were good, so there was no reason why he couldn't make a delicious cake, as long as he was willing to learn and correct his techniques. Now, he finally did it right. His beautiful wife in a wedding dress was reflected in the makeup mirror. He walked closer and hugged her. Okay? Sly. Jin Jin, will you always like me? Will you like someone else? Taoji covered him with a veil. Of course I won't like someone else, please. We are each other's white moonlight. Isn't the white moonlight used to secretly love, miss, achieve success, and chase the wife husband to the crematorium? Let's love together. Let's burn together.